Hello everybody, and welcome to my Oscar predictions video for the month of August. I am now starting my nomination predictions here, only in the Big 8 categories, as we are in a very interesting season at the moment. A lot of big surprises that came out in 2023. We have some major hits throughout the summer that happen now in consideration for Best Picture. Film festivals are around the corner, and we have a serious issue going on in the Hollywood industry. As many of you know, for those who are new to my channel, my name is Brian, and I kind of do a little bit of some Oscar-themed videos a little bit. I've been recently doing some personal lineup videos throughout the 2010s. I am going to try to start on the 2000s, but I had to watch on almost a lot of the Oscar movies of the 2000s, just to try to get through my lifetime. But if you want to see that, you can go onto this channel and you can hit that subscribe button. I'm already doing the subscribe button already. So, what I'm going to be talking about here is I'm going to be predicting each of the Big 8 categories here of what I think, as of this recording, August 27th, which will be released either on August 29th or the 30th, of what I think will be nominated for this upcoming Oscar ceremony, when that will ever be. Because let's address the big elephant in the room when it comes to this upcoming award season, and that is the ongoing WGA and SAG-AFTRA strike. As many of you know, the Writers Guild of America and the Screen Actors Guild of America are currently on strike against the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, also known as the AMPTP, and many of the big CEOs and executives of many film companies, most notably like Bob Iger of Disney, David Zaslav of Warner Brothers, the heads of like Netflix, Paramount, Apple, Amazon, Warner Brothers, I just already mentioned Warner Brothers, MGM, and A20, like any of the big mainstream ones, not like the independent ones like A24 or stuff like that, but like big major Hollywood studios. And throughout California and in New York, many of the writers have been picketing since throughout, I believe, March, if I'm correct. Ever since the beginning of May, since May 2nd, and since the writers have been on strike, and ever since July 14th, the actors have been on strike. And there have been some major complications here, because not also that means a lot of film productions that were already that are starting production have now gotten pushed on hold, but some movies have even got delayed. And on top of that, with actors being on strike, they can't attend anything that will hopefully not have them revoke their membership from SAG, specifically attending film festivals, award show ceremonies, and even interviews about the movies or television shows that they're working on. And it has already been massive complication throughout many of the months. Like the Haunted Mansion movie was the first big major one, and in the Oppenheimer premiere in London, all the actors walked out of the premiere before the movie began, so in support of the strike. And on top of that, there is one big major movie that has been pushed back that is no longer in the running for this upcoming award season. Like the pandemic, when the first film got pushed back, because of the strike this time, Dune Part 2 has been pushed back. It was just revealed this past weekend that Denis Villeneuve's second chapter of his adaptation of the sci-fi novel of Dune has been pushed back to March of next year because of the ongoing strike that's going on, and not to mention, since a lot of the actors are a big studded cast, like Timothée Chalamet, Josh Brolin, Jason Momoa, Rebecca Ferguson, Stellan Skarsgård, and especially Zendaya for all the young generations, and even her other movie, Challengers, directed by Luca Guadagnino, has also been pushed back. Dune Part 2 will no longer be in the conversation for this year's Oscars race. Because now the question is, who's going to win Best Visual Effects? Well, we'll have to wait and see how the shortlist goes throughout the season. We'll have to see. So basically, part of my language in support of the Writers Guild and SAG-AFTRA's fuck the Alliance of Motion Pictures and Television Producers, and fuck the CEOs of all the big major Hollywood studios. And I know, Bob Iger, I know you came back to try to save Disney, not just from what Bob Chapek has done, but also to take down the dictator of Florida. But it looks like this strike is something that you kind of have a little bit of a problem here, that maybe you were probably not a good time to come back, especially since you decided to extend your contract. Now, unlike many of these award show predictors that you usually see, like the Oscar Expert, the Film Drunk, Oscar Buzz, or any other ones out there, they usually go picture, director, the actings, and screenplays. I'm going to be doing the reverse way, like I did last year, and this is something I think it kind of, like, having Best Picture last kind of is more important, I would say, than doing it immediately. So I'm going to be going screenplays first, then acting, then directing. So basically backwards reverse, I would say. So I'm going to be starting this up with Best Adapted Screenplay, and with Dune Part 2 getting pushed back, I had a feeling of one particular movie that I think might have a chance now. More like a critics thing, but it could be a possibility, since especially it is one of the highest reviewed movies of the year, according to Rotten Tomatoes. So we'll just have to see how it goes. Even though the title might be kind of questioning. But I have Kelly Furman Craig for Are You Their God? It's Me, Margaret. Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach for Barbie, if it is going adapted. Eric Roth and Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon. Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer, and Ava DuVernay for Origin. So with Dune Part 2 being pushed back, I decided to put Are You Their God? It's Me, Margaret in here. I mean, if you've seen those reviews, it's just like so blown up. It's like considered like one of the best films of the first half of the year. And since it's from the woman who did The Edge of 17, which I really did like, I think this could potentially might start a little bit of a chance. Like, Critics' Choice will probably go with her. I don't know if it's an indie movie, but I don't think so. So I don't think it's an independent production. But that reception, and even though it's kind of odd that it's in a similar veins like Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul, which was a more of a mockumentary film when the religion was not the subject, I think this is like another movie where the religion is not the subject, because it is a non-religious movie specifically, because it does, even if it has the word God in its title. It is the battle many people are saying it's between Barbie and Killers of the Flower Moon. Now, Barbie is going to be questioning where is it going to be, because the thing is, obviously there are pre-existing characters that have been appeared before, like Barbie and Ken, but the question is, are they going to go with the previous material that is a non-toy related product, like either like it's going to be tough, because there have been a numerous amount of Barbie directed DVD movies that have been occurred. I know that, not just because of my childhood, but for those who follow my channel, you know, Macy's Parade related stuff. So, it is a massive question mark, but this is the chance to not only give Gerwig an Oscar, but also Noah Baumbach, Gerwig's partner, or boyfriend, I should say, a chance to also win an Oscar, because they both co-wrote the movie. So, and it's already a big, massive hit. It's already passed $1 billion. It could be labeled the highest grossing movie of the year at the moment if it tops over the Super Mario Brothers movie, probably by the Labor Day weekend. It is already a big, massive hit for many people. Preventing it from a win could be not just it's too comedic, but there might be some sexist or anti-feminist members of the Academy that might not like it, because I heard there's a big, like, feminist message in the end of the film. I don't know what it is, so no spoilers, please, because I usually do an Oscar movie marathon, like, after the season, but if the nominations get announced in January and if the award show gets pushed back, then I might be able to watch all the movies I need to require before the ceremony, which I forgot to mention in the opening. So, Killers of the Flower Moon, I would say would probably be my top pick at the moment, but I'm not really sure. I might say Barbie, because this and Best Picture are the only chance for Martin Scorsese to get an Oscar. But then again, not everyone has seen it yet, and it doesn't come out to the beginning of October. It was a big hit at Cannes, a massive serious subject matter with its subject of Native Americans, kind of the similar veins of 12 Years a Slave, and in different values, of course, but a serious subject like 12 Years a Slave about why you should not hate black people 10 years ago. Killers of the Flower Moon is basically a movie is why you should not hate natives. from what I've been hearing. So, and Eric Roth has only won for Forrest Gump, and obviously he wrote this instead of co-writing with John Spates and Denis Villeneuve for Dune Part 2. So, we'll see if this could be a chance to give him his second Oscar and maybe Scorsese's first win for writing. Oppenheimer's getting in here regardless. It's not going to win, of course. And then Origin, Ava DuVernay's movie. This, I'm not really sure how, but Netflix does have a couple of candidates, and I do think Origin might be, like, the top one for, like, for the black filmmaking community at the moment. We'll have to wait and see how another specific Netflix movie comes out. This is going to be both of that and another movie that we'll mention in Best Actor will be premiering in Venice. Ava DuVernay, of course, made Selma, which got in for picture and only won for original song, the only other nomination it got. So we'll have to see. She has not, like, yeah, she did had A Wrinkle in Time, but the subject matter might do something to make her get in. I don't know if it's an anthology movie or not, because from what I read the synopsis, I don't know what it is about. So at the moment, it is a toss-up between Barbie and Killers of the Flower Moon for the #1 spot. This could give Gerwig and Baumbach an Oscar at the moment, or this could give Eric Roth and Martin Scorsese a second Oscar and Scorsese's first win for writing. For original screenplay, I think I'm kind of a little bit confident here than the adapted lineup, because I have Justin Triet and Arthur Harari for Anatomy of a Fall, David Hymanson for The Holdovers, Sammy Birch and Alex McChank for May December, Celine Song for Past Lives, and Emerald Fennell for Saltburn. Anatomy of a Fall was the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival. Many people now with Neon also behind it, and with Triangle of Sadness winning last year's Palme d'Or being distributed by Neon, this could be Neon's big campaign film for them. It's just that French movies usually a lot of the times wins the Palme d'Or, and the last time that France submitted a French film that Neon campaign called Titan, a horror movie that was so messed up by critics, by Academy members, not by critics, by voters, I do think it has more of a stronger chance to get in at least somewhere for France to submit it. I don't have it high like many people do at the moment, because I'm going to wait and see how Toronto more reactions come out, like for Toronto. So, but I do feel confident in its original screenplay. So I kind of have Anatomy of a Fall kind of being like the worst person in the world at the moment. The Holdovers, a lot of people are assuming it's going to be the TIFF winner of the People's Choice Award. I was doubting it, but I'll explain that once they get to Best Picture. But I do feel a little bit more confident here, especially when it's an original Alexander Payne film that is written by somebody else. It does well, like Nebraska did 10 years ago. May December, Todd Haynes' film. A lot of people are kind of underestimating it. I kind of have it a little bit more stronger support for the film. Not because of its subject matter of having an older woman, young man relationship that we have been seeing a little bit more recently thanks to Licorice Pizza, like No Hard Feelings this past summer. So, but the investigation probably could be definitely a massive written material purpose. Saltburn, Emerald Fennell. Thrillers don't tend to do well. Like, a lot of people are not really sure about David Fincher's The Killer. But if Fennell knows how to make a thriller like Promising Young Woman, and I think it does have an LGBTQ plus subject matter, I think, based on what I've been seeing, the still images. So, I think maybe what I heard of the synopsis, I do think we are finally getting, because I don't think we hadn't had an LGBTQ plus themed subject movie since Call Me By Your Name in the awards conversation, so, as its main subject matter, so. And if Fennell did not win for original screenplay for Promising Young Woman 3 years ago, she probably would have been consideration, but at the moment, this is Past Lives' award to lose. It has been considered the best movie of the first half of the year. This could be A24's big campaign film, although not as strongly as Everything Everywhere All at Once, but this is the way to give Celine Song an Oscar here for what is to be considered the best movie of the first half of the year. On to the acting categories, and there are a couple of considerations for supporting actress, but this is what I ended up going with. I have Daniela Brooks in The Color Purple, Lily Gladstone in Killers of the Flower Moon, Julianne Moore in May December, Rosamund Pike in Saltburn, and Divine Joy Randolph in The Holdovers. Danielle Brooks won a Tony Award for the musical revival of The Color Purple, so that's basically probably a master show performance, so that, like, a lot of people probably have her at top. Lily Gladstone, I think everyone, including myself, I do have on the top because this is probably the highest chance for Killers of the Flower Moon to win something. And Lily Gladstone is one of the few actresses that's been overlooked by the film industry in award seasons, and now this potentially might give an actual native person to win an Oscar here with her native heritage. So that could be historic, and this could be the win for Killers of the Flower Moon, the 100% most likely. But then again, we'll have to see how The Color Purple does for its December release. And kind of like with Ariana DeBose for West Side Story, the movie was released in December. We'll have to see what Danielle Brooks says. Julianne Moore, working with Todd Haynes again. She got in for Far From Heaven a few years ago for Best Actress, so I think I'm kind of confident with her working with Haynes again, and she's no stranger working with Haynes, of course, because she also worked with her on Safe, which I actually have on the Criterion Collection. So, her working with Todd Haynes, definitely another chance for her first nomination since her undeserving win for Still Alice. That was just for a bullshit career win, which we'll talk about that when we get to actress. Pike, we've seen her got in for a thrower before with Gone Girl, and I don't have Barry Keoghan in for Best Actor at the moment, but if there is somebody from the acting cast that might get in, I have Pike at the moment. And Divine Joy Randolph, the role she might be having in The Holdovers, based on some of the still synopsis of the trailer, she might really do well here. So, at the moment, this could be Lily Gladstone's award to lose. Taraji P. Henson is also in the conversation for The Color Purple as well, because obviously with her and Danielle Brooks' role, if you're going by the Spielberg movie, both the roles that I believe Oprah Winfrey and I forget who else got nominated for supporting actress in this category, so that could also happen here as well. A lot of people think America Ferrera's monologue could do it for Barbie, but it's just like, would it just be for that? Although her role is a little bit more stronger than you think it is, so from what I've been hearing, so but it would just be for the monologue only, which I think is kind of a bit of a spoiler, so we'll have to wait and see. So at the moment, I have Gladstone at the front helm. Also, despite how minimalist he is, a lot of people think this could finally give Emily Blunt her first Oscar nomination. At the moment, I don't see it. On to supporting actor. I've got Robert De Niro in Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr. in Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling in Barbie, John Margot in Past Lives, and Charles Melton in May-December. This is basically the battle between Robert Downey Jr. and Ryan Gosling. They are both two-time nominees, and this would be their third nominations. Obviously, a lot of people wanted Downey to be nominated for Avengers Endgame, but Downey said he didn't want Disney to campaign it because he didn't really need it, but it looks like this time he thinks his role probably wants to give him so. A lot of people think out of all the big eight things that is confident for Barbie to get in, Ryan Gosling was definitely confident even before the movie was getting released. It's basically a battle between the two. Obviously, with the scenario with if DiCaprio is getting nominated for Best Actor, somebody has to get in for Supporting Actor, and Robert De Niro is very confident. A lot of people thought it was going to be doubled up with him and Jesse Plemons, but for the cast reactions, a lot of people think Jesse Plemons is barely in the movie, so that won't give him a nomination for that. John Margot, Past Lives has to be more of a stronger thing, so I do think it's going to get in here. If Tae-yo, if I'm correct, that's the lead actor, if A24 pushes him in supporting, then I think he's going to get in, and I think we might find who is the top 5. Charles Melton is definitely kind of unknown, but since I have a little bit more of a stronger performance for May-December, I am going with that at the moment. There is a lot of conversations with Matt Damon for Oppenheimer, and it's very questioning at the moment with some things, and I completely forgot about Air as well for the original screenplay side and Viola Davis for supporting actress. I would not be surprised if she gets in SAG over there, but it's just like, we know who are the top 3. Margot's 4th, and if Tae-yo gets in actor, I just want to make sure I got that name correct. Tae-yo. If I'm doing this completely blind here, but some people have already typed this. Tae-yo. If he gets in supporting, I do think he's gonna get in. For actress, I have Fantasia Barrino in The Color Purple, Annette Bening in Nyad, Greta Lee in Past Lives, if leading Carey Mulligan in Maestro and Natalie Portman in May December. Greta Lee is pretty much confident to get nominated, as well as Fantasia Barrino, and she would become the second American Idol artist to ever get nominated for an acting Oscar. Obviously, Jennifer Hudson won for Dreamgirls back in 2006. It's like many people think it's between those two. Mulligan, this could be a makeup for her not getting in for last year for She Said. If she is leading, I think they would probably do her, but if she goes supporting, I do think she will still get in for supporting actress. Portman, I do think, will most likely get in for May, December here. But you remember how I kind of mentioned supporting actress about the bullshit career win thing? That's what I think it's going to happen with Annette Bening. She is overdue. She is playing a role that would have a lot of physical aspects to it, kind of like with DiCaprio's performance in The Revenant, how physical he had to do for his performance. Bening is basically going to be swimming throughout most of the entirety of the movie, and since it's from the directors that brought you Free Solo and The Rescue with their first narrative feature, and Netflix is also behind this, if this movie does strong, this could also do well in a technical aspect, maybe for visual effects or cinematography, and maybe even editing, but if she's the only thing that's going to be running for the movie, she could potentially sweep everything, because she has been overdue for this. A lot of people think she was robbed for American Beauty because Hilary Swank took that Oscar her. Not to mention she took her Oscar twice. So yeah, losing to Hilary Swank twice, not a good thing. But then again, some people think she's supporting in American Beauty. Some people think she's leading. I can't say because I've not seen that movie. But if we're going the career shit bull thing, but if we are going this bullshit career win with this overdue white actress wins thing that we've been seeing throughout most of the times, like Julianne Moore and Still Alice, Renee Zellweger and Judy, and even other ones, it's just kind of like ridiculous. A lot of people are also saying the same thing with Jessica Lange for Long Days Journey into Night, which I would have her in, but as of this recording, there is no release date for MGM. There has not been a release date for that movie. If that does not come out this year, then there is a potential she might win next year. And not to mention, MGM does not grade at campaigning. That and United Artists do not do well. Look at Women Talking, how well that did last year. So yeah, I think Bening would just win for her physical, unless the performance is really great and if I really do enjoy it. But in the synopsis of who the Academy is, if they like to go with that bullshit, overdue white actress career win, for colored people, it's understandable because they are barely overlooked. But if it's for somebody that's been overdue, like Julianne Moore or Renee Zellweger, even though she already is a two-time winner, or maybe for a mediocre movie like Jessica Lange in Blue Sky, or I think somebody else did in the 80s or 70s, it's just this isn't usually common in this category a lot for the career win thing, because a lot of people say, oh, what about Brendan Fraser? Well, that's a different story. That was a comeback story. Same thing with Ke Huy Quan. You can understand with Jamie Lee Curtis, but I'll be honest, she would have been my second pick. I actually did like that performance. Although Angela Bassett would have been my pick, but why the hell are they giving her an honorary Oscar just because she was upset last year? That's just bullshit. Yeah, I have Bening doing the career bullshit scenario of her sweeping the season. Glenn Close has been trying this. But if Greta Lee comes in like Olivia Colman did, or Fantasia, maybe we might see that scenario and Bening would lose again. But then again, we'll have to wait and see how that movie does. I believe it's going at Toronto, and she has two prominent directors that might give her a physical performance and might give her an Oscar. So, she definitely should have been nominated for 20th Century Women. That was kind of ridiculous that movie got overlooked. If you've seen my personal Oscar lineup in 2016, you know much how I really did dug to that movie. So, I just have her winning just because of the career win. Okay, for everyone out there, for Best Actor, does anyone not have Bradley Cooper in Maestro, Leonardo DiCaprio in Killers of the Flower Moon, Coleman Domingo in Rustin, Paul Giamatti in The Holdovers, and Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer? DiCaprio is basically although I don't trust Gold Derby thinks he's the most likely to get nominated just because of who he is, and obviously doing a Scorsese role, of course. But then again, I could see a scenario where DiCaprio might be like Robert De Niro did for The Irishman. So I could see DiCaprio might be De Niro for The Irishman. If he doesn't get in anywhere, I think he's done for getting nominated. Coleman Domingo is the other Netflix movie that with Rustin, with a massive, huge subject for black filmmaking, because you have the director of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom behind it with George C. Wolfe. You have the Obama's film studio Higher Ground Productions behind the movie. On top of that, although he is not a person of color, but he is a gay member, or Dustin Lance Black is a co-writer in the film because Bayard Rustin was a gay civil rights activist. So, because it's very interesting how last year it was almost like a rematch it was going to be between him and Hugh Jackman in The Sun. Well, Rustin got pushed back and The Sun failed, so, oh boy, I think I had Hugh Jackman at number 1 when we had this, oh my gosh. Cillian Murphy, like, a lot of people are saying it's a battle between Bradley Cooper, Paul Giamatti, and Cillian Murphy. Obviously, I think Robert Downey Jr. would be the acting win I would give for Oppenheimer at the moment. Giamatti is definitely overdue for a second Oscar nomination. Cinderella Man is his only nomination. Obviously, he was famously snubbed for Sideways. Working with Alexander Payne again probably will help him out. There were so many roles in the last decade he could have got in for, like Straight Outta Compton or Love and Mercy. Probably the closest thing I think he would have got in for would have been 10 years ago for Saving Mr. Banks as Ralph P.L. Travers' cab driver, and that was like one of his more lighthearted roles instead of the crazy or asshole roles he would do in his filmography. Like Cinderella Man is kind of like more of a lighthearted one, but that's with the serious subject matter of the Great Depression. So with him reuniting with Alexander Payne, this could potentially maybe have him. This could be the chance for the Holdovers to take a win, because I don't have him winning original screenplay, of course. So this might be Giamatti's chance to win. But with the recent trend of the makeup transformation roles winning with Jessica Chastain in The Eyes of Tammy Faye and Brendan Fraser in The Whale, I'm going to think it's going to continue with Bradley Cooper here for Maestro. Now, it is difficult for somebody to win an Oscar for directing themselves as an actor, since this is going to be Cooper's second featured film. But the makeup might help him get it in. And this guy has been really overdue. I mean, he got like, how many nominations? I think he has 8 nominations. Yeah, had 8 nominations. And like, he was nominated for Silver Linings Playbook, American Hustle, 2 for American Sniper, Actor and Best Picture. No, he has 9 nominations. He got 3 for his film A Star Is Born, but not for Director, Adapted Screenplay, Actor, and Picture. Best Picture for Joker, and Best Picture for Nightmare Alley. He has 9 nominations, and he's most likely going to get his 10th and 11th, as you will see in the picture lineup. So, it's like, this dude is now overdue for an Oscar. Like, unlike Annette Bening, it's just Cooper has just really been having bad luck. A lot of people do think he was robbed for the Best Actor race in 2018 for A Star Is Born, because, like, although, yeah, I do think he is the best portrayal of the main male character in the Star Is Born story, but my vote would have been for Christian Bale. But, yeah, Rami Malek, as much as I love Bohemian Rhapsody, that performance, no. That was the worst thing about the performance. He just made Freddie Mercury so unlikable. But I think with the transformation status, and this is not more of a career win, but because he's still young, this has to be Cooper's chance, especially with the makeup trend. It's just like, this dude needs an Oscar now. I mean, seriously, it's just like, this has to be Cooper's year. But then again, Giamatti has been very overlooked, so I think it's a battle between the two, with Cillian Murphy kind of around the corner. On to Best Director. Now, obviously, with Dune Part 2 getting pushed back, Denis Villeneuve was no longer in the conversation. Well, I actually did not have him at all here. I think he was potentially going to miss, again, due to the strong competition we have. But he has more of a stronger chance next year. Now, I also originally did have Alexander Payne in here for The Holdovers. But there might be some members that might not want to go with him because there might be some sexual allegations towards him. And on top of that, with Dune Part 2 getting pushed back, I had said the scenario throughout myself the past few weeks. I had stated, if Dune Part 2 gets pushed back, you know who's going to get in for director now and more of a stronger chance. And obviously, it would not make sense for a win, but I do think now with the movie now getting over $1 billion, I think she's now getting in, and I have a double female director nomination here. And looking at this could be the Oscar 5. But then again, who is the random snub here? And you also have to look at the non-English pick here. So I have, for Best Director, Greta Gerwig for Barbie, Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon, Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer, Celine Song for Past Lives, and Jonathan Glazer for The Zone of Interest. With Dune Part 2 getting pushed back, and we don't know how The Color Purple will do in terms of directing-wise, this could be Gerwig's chance here. Now, I know it's kind of hard to get two female director nominees, because a lot of people are saying, including myself, Celine Song is the top female pick, because Past Lives would be the strong indie film of the season. But Gerwig definitely would have to get in here because of its billion-dollar hit, and it's obviously with the Little Women snub she had, and many people were bitching, complaining that Todd Phillips replaced her, which, although I do think all the 5 director nominees of that year definitely should have been replaced by 5 others. You'll probably see who would be in my personal Oscar 2019 lineup when I get to that video, 2 videos from now. So we'll just have to see how this goes. But I do think with her not getting in for Little Women, I think it has to be a makeup thing. Celine Song is the top female pick. Now, it was a toss-up between Glazer and Justin Triet for Anatomy of a Fall. But since Triet, although she hasn't made a lot more movies, Glazer might be more recognizable for a lot of English voters. And as you might have seen with Anatomy of a Fall, I'm not going big on it. Just to jump ahead, I don't have Sandra Hüller in for Best Actress because I think there might be a lot of American members of the Academy might not recognize her, who she is, kind of similar to Renate Reinsve 2 years ago. So since she's not recognizable, although she's also in the zone of interest, that might potentially have her a little bit. I don't have her in at the moment for actors. Once again, I keep forgetting somebody to mention, and I'm already late on this, but I just have to bring that up. So, but yeah, Glazer, The Zone of Interest, was the highest reviewed film at Cannes. And it is kind of hard to put 2 A24 movies in for director. I know that's kind of a big thing, but Glazer might be the more recognizable name because he did Under the Skin over 11 years ago, so I think that could help him in. If you're kind of a little bit recognizable, you might get in here for director. But this could also be Scorsese's chance to win for a second time in the category, but this is Christopher Nolan's Oscar to lose. Now with Dune Part 2 out, and with Oppenheimer now doing better in the technical categories will win, like film editing, cinematography, original score, and sound, this is Nolan's time. It is finally his time, because Gerwig, Song, and Scorsese are most likely to chance to win in the screenplay categories, and maybe Scorsese for picture, if I'm correct, he's a producer on that. This is Nolan's chance for him to win director, and it is now his time. It is finally his time, and seeing how the movie is almost like close to $250 million, it's shocking that a mainstream 3-hour movie gets close to being $1 billion in the modern era of cinema is something you have not seen in recent years. Like, that's just insane. People are going to see Oppenheimer, and it's kind of the Barbenheimer thing, why it is, and people are seeing both movies at the same time or even multiple times throughout these past few weekends. So kind of a strong thing for both Warner Brothers and Universal, but for Gerwig and Nolan, like, the Barbenheimer thing has to happen director, but this is basically Nolan's award to lose. And now finally, Best Motion Picture of the Year. The 10 I have for Best Motion Picture of 2023 are Barbie, The Color Purple, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, May December, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Saltburn, and The Zone of Interest. So basically the ones we are confident in the most are Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Past Lives. The Holdovers might be the 5th place spot, I would say, at the moment, without any public's reaction. I feel like that could be the top 5 at the moment. Barbie, Holdovers, Killers, Oppenheimer, Past Lives. I feel like that's the top 5 at the moment, if The Holdovers does win People's Choice Award at 10. Now, here's the thing. I was tending not to go with The Holdovers at all. not because of Alexander Payne's allegations or anything, but because it's setting during Christmas. You know what movie last year was set during Christmas that failed? Empire of Light. So I was thinking the holdovers might be this year's Empire of Light, but since many people are now assuming it's going to be the People's Choice winner, and since it is an original movie that was not written by Payne, and like how Nebraska did, this could be the People's Choice winner, so I have the holdovers in. For Netflix's top pick, it's kind of interesting, because you would think I would say May, December, because I have all three of its actors getting in Screenplay, but that's just me overperforming it a little bit. But at the moment, I think it's Maestro. It might do well in the technical categories like makeup, maybe sound, it could potentially, and maybe cinematography if it has that black and white color scenario, if we're seeing in the still images, but I might be wrong on that. And on top of that, other than Cooper, Steven Spielberg, Martin Scorsese, and Todd Phillips are producers on Maestro. So I think that might be Netflix's top pick. Saltburn, although thrillers are kind of hard, but if you're a thriller that does well like Promising Young Woman, and with Fennell knowing how to kick ass with thrillers, I think that would do it. Anatomy of a Fall, I don't have in at the moment, so I have The Zone of Interest as the non-English film candidate at the moment. And with Dune Part 2 getting pushed back, The Color Purple is back in Best Picture. I think, other than the 2 acting nominations, I think sound and some technical categories might help it getting in, because it's not getting in for screenplay or editing at the moment. But now you might be asking yourself the question, and probably a lot of you are going to put it down in the comments, you're going to be asking me, where the hell is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse? As you know, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, some people have labeled it as the best movie the first half of the year. It really worked well as a double feature for some people with that and Past Lives, since they were both released on the same weekend like Barbie and Oppenheimer. But the thing is, not because there are many obviously reasons here, because obviously it's an animated film, it is a superhero movie, which could make a bit of a prejudice thing towards the Academy. Second, you have the controversy of what happened behind the scenes of how toxic the environment is during the production from Sony, but especially from Phil Lord and Chris Miller. And the Academy could just say, basically, fuck you to the two, and we're not giving you a nomination for Best Picture for how you treat the animators. And heck, they might not even nominate them for Best Animated Feature. Like, not even in the Adapted Screenplay category. Like, they could get in some technical ones, like in original score, song, sound, or visual effects. I think Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget is more likely for visual effects because it's stop motion. But I feel like it's just that toxicity controversy might prevent it to getting in, but then again, it might have more of a stronger in films like Saltburn or Maestro, or The Holdovers or The Color Purple might not do well, but then you have like Origin, I think it has more likely shot in Best Picture, maybe Russin if it does better. We're not sure how it is, but I just feel like those elements do it. And on top of that, the main reason why I'm not going with Across the Spider-Verse, I tried this last year with Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, and it failed. So if Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio does not get in for Best Picture, I don't think Across the Spider-Verse won't happen at the moment. Critics' Choice maybe, but like, Golden Globes, now under the new leadership of Dick Clark Productions, since Hollywood Foreign Press Association now has been defunct, we don't know how that will go. But like BAFTAs is questioning, we'll get a double nomination to the Producers Guild. I have no idea. So, because being an animated film and a superhero movie, that prejudice thing the Academy has, especially towards animation, the controversy behind the scenes, and probably the Academy wants to support the animators to teach Phil Lord and Chris Miller a lesson to not get them a nomination for an Oscar for Best Picture, and specifically to Sony. And with me trying to do this last year with Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, I'm not going to put Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse at all until when nominations comes out. If it happens, then, man, my goodness. Because then again, you also have Hayao Miyazaki's The Boy and the Heroine, which is also the premiering film at TIFF. But it's questioning, is Japan going to submit that? Are they going to submit Monster from Hirokoe Katsuda, who made Shoplifters? Or they're going to submit Ryusuke Hamaguchi's new movie? We're not sure yet. So we'll have to see how Japan does that. But at the moment, because with me trying this last year with Del Toro's Pinocchio, I'm not going with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse for Best Picture as of August. Thank you guys for watching for my prediction for the month of August, and we'll see how many more movies get delayed and how the festivals will go on.